Scotland. Let's assume that you wanted to live in that house when you grew up, that was the place you wanted to live, and you would do anything to get there. Well, the one thing you could do is go to school to develop a company, to become rich like Bill Gates or Steve Jobs, to get really, really famous like J.K. Rowling, and then buy it. Well, if things look a little bit like Harry Potter around here, that's because J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter within about a half a mile of this location. And of course, it's places like this that inspired her work. She's one of the richest authors, maybe the richest author in the history of the world, certainly much richer than Shakespeare. But the one thing about J.K. Rowling or Shakespeare or Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or any multi-millionaire, they will never live in that house up on the hill because they were not born into the right family. You see, the United Kingdom, England, Scotland are all ascription-oriented societies. That is, where you were born is more important than what you achieve. Now, that does not mean that achievement's not important or not valued. Certainly, the English, the British, have achieved a great deal. One of the things that I find interesting about this ascription-oriented society we call the United Kingdom or England, and France is in the same boat in a lot of ways, is that if somebody great does something great, but they are not in the royal family or do not have title, they are given title. They are brought into that fold. They are adopted in. So you can become a person of prestige by being born into the right family or being married into the right family, or you become like the Beatles, John Lennon. You know, he wasn't really all that cool with the royals and with the older generation in the 1960s when the Beatles were around, but now he's Sir John Lennon because he's famous. Sir Elton John. All of these different actors and actresses and politicians and others who were born doing pretty much normal things and did exceptional things with their lives, then they are brought into the fold and given title. So we call it an ascription-oriented society, a society where you are ascribed to certain characteristics, certain families, certain tribes, and that's what gives you status. Certainly Muslims, the Arab culture is an ascription-oriented society, largely based on what tribe you're from, but sometimes what gender. Somebody great does something great, then they give them a title. So Sir Elton John, Sir John Lennon. So let me give you an example that comes from my childhood. When I was growing up, I lived in France for a couple of years, and one day I was with my friend, and we had gone to the swimming pool, and his mother had picked us up, and we were driving back to our homes, about a half an hour drive, and she takes us on this shortcut through the woods. And we stop at this place in the woods, and we look down this long road, and she points down the road, and at the end of the road is a villa, not a chateau, not a big castle, but a villa, a very stately, wonderful, nice villa that's modest. And she says with deep pride, if the monarchy were still in place, the King of France would live in that home. She's so proud of this monarchy that's been dethroned for 200 years, and yet she's still proud of that. And she's even more proud of her son, my friend, who I later learned would have title if the monarchy were still in place. So if he had been born 200 years ago, he'd be the Baron de Murat. His name is Hervé de Murat, and he's a very accomplished business person in France. But that doesn't matter as much as the fact that he would be the Baron de Murat if the monarchy were still in place. Now, that's an ascription-oriented society where being born into the right family, into the right tribe, into the right gender, into the right place is very, very important. Versus the achievement-oriented society, and Americans are very achievement-oriented, and that's that if you earn it, you live it, you have it. And we don't much care what your dad did, what your mom did. We do care what you can do.